Yeah, I asked the sheriff to come. I said, you need to come so you clear up the water and what all the crap they say about you. I'm glad to see you. I tried to get the mayor to come that used to be the mayor, and he said, I ain't worried with it. He said, I'm done.
No, you're okay.
He said, I done sold my house and moved to the county. I talked to him this morning.
It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to ask you, if you will, if you would stand with us. I'm going to open with a word of prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I want to introduce our Father John Paul Mary. He's with EWTN and also with associated with the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament here in Hanceville. Father's became a priest back in 2013. He entered the for community back in 2004. Is that right? And so we welcome him to give our opening prayer.
So let the word of the Lord guide us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. From Proverbs chapter 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and abundant welfare they will give you. Let not loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good repute in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refinement to your bones. Honor the Lord with your substance and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline, or be weary of his reproof. For the Lord reproves him whom he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Happy is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gets understanding. For the gain from it is better than the gain from silver, and its profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and her paths of peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold fast to her are happy. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the deeps broke forth, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My son, keep sound wisdom and discretion. Let them not escape from your sight, and they will be life for your soul, and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on the way of you securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you sit down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be peace. Do not be afraid of sudden panic, or of the ruin of the wicked. When it comes, the Lord will be your confidence, and he will keep your foot from being caught. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you all.
Attention, salute, pledge. May you sit. Before we go any further, I think Deborah Stamp would like to come, and she would like to make a comment about our food pantry. Deborah?
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Council members. First of all, I want to thank you for your support of our pantry now going on 6 years. We have been blessed with a lot of people coming forth anonymously to place food in the pantry. And sometimes we have 500 to 600 items going out a week. So it's been very helpful to our community. Recently, the good news is LP approached us about putting a cooler underneath the pantry. And that will allow us to have water that's cold during the summer. And some items can be placed there, like milk perhaps. So they're coming on April 23rd, and the actual employees are doing it. So we're just really thankful for LP And they're going to take care of all the materials, and they're going to put a little bit of a concrete pad down. And they're going to work on it this week, and then I'll present it to you. I'll bring it by, and you can look at it. But I don't think it's going to change the dimension of what it is. It's just going to be underneath, and they're going to wire it with solar power. So should be a success. But again, thank you for all your hard work and what you do for our community.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. As we begin our meeting, we're going to continue with the normal comments that we allow at this time, but it's going to be different from the meeting last Thursday. Tonight, we're going to strictly hold you to 3 minutes, and if you go over that, you're going to get the gavel, okay? But also, we're not going to allow any criticism of any particular person or department. You know, we heard you at your last meeting, and we've listened. But what may or may not happen in the past is in the past. And tonight, we are looking at the future. Tonight's meeting is called for this city council and mayor to decide the direction that the police department goes in the future. And so if you have a comment that you would like to come and state your opinion of why you feel like we should keep the police department, or if you have an opinion that you believe that we should contract out to the sheriff's department, then that's fine. But we need to keep our comments to that, okay? So I'm not acting rude, I'm not being rude or anything like that, but we're here tonight to discuss the future of the police department. So if you'd like to come and make a comment, then you're welcome to come. Anybody?
Good afternoon. My name is Darren Sullivan. I am a Hanceville resident as of August 2024. The truth is, I don't know one person up here. I've had nothing to do with any of you. I have looked at everything. I went and pulled old budgets. I've looked at what happened with the former messes that happened, the mess that happened with this. And before any decisions are made regarding the police department, I would like to know what makes this board feel qualified to make any decisions at all. I read the district attorney's report today, and I would like to know what makes this board feel that they are qualified at this point to make any decisions.
Amen.
Right now, the city of Hanceville is being covered by Coleman County Sheriff's Department. Is that correct? Am I correct in that assumption? So it is my opinion that any decisions should be tabled until special elections are held, because I believe that every single person up there should be resigning based on what has occurred with this police department. You are not responsible for the running of the police department, but you are responsible for knowing what is going on. And that did not happen. And that is clear from the report today issued by the district attorney that is in his inventory that was published today. In the event you all feel that you're qualified to make a decision, why is it necessary to have all or nothing? Right now, the city of Hanceville is not in a position to hire a brand new police force. You also, right now, have already contracted out with Coleman County Sheriff's Office. Could someone tell me how much it is costing to have Coleman County Sheriff's Office cover the city of Hanceville? Does anybody have a number?
We may get that for you here just shortly, okay?
Okay. So then, why does a decision have to be made? Why can the decision not be tabled and you either contract out with another police force for a period of 15 months? So that gives Hanceville the time to rebuild their police department with qualified people,
Yeah.
chosen by people who were qualified to
Amen.
pick those people.
Thank you.
Because this does not have to be an all or nothing decision. Because I want to know what makes Coleman County Sheriff's Office qualified to do it. It's my understanding that 4 of the Hanceville policemen that were arrested came from Coleman County
Amen.
Sheriff's Office. Is that
Come on.
correct?
Yes.
So is it your opinion on the board
Okay,
that
I'm
those are the...
sorry, your 3 minutes are up, okay? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, woman. Yes. Hallelujah. Come on.
If you will, please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, I'm Bo Garrison. I live in White City, but I pastor a church here in the city of Hanceville. And it's my understanding that we need a police force. We've had one, I'm 67 years old, we've always had a police force. I think we need to rebuild this police force from the ground up.
Yep.
What used to work don't work no more. We need to start all over for a clean slate, whatever happened. And as far as these are enchanted by the board here, this is election year, ain't it?
Yes.
Get out and vote.
Amen.
If you feel like you're qualified to put yourself on the ballot, get out and vote. But I believe we, as myself, as our churches over here, I believe we need a police department.
Amen.
And we stand fully behind it. And I think that we need qualified people choosing our police department. I think that's real important. I've been reorganizing all my life, and I know that it's time now for reorganization.
Amen, sir. Amen. Thank you.
Kimberly Love, hello. To the lady that was here before me, I've understood that some of the police officers we've had here were hired after they were fired from Coleman County Sheriff's Department. That I know comes from a very reputable person that knows. I guess, do we know, was it the chief of police who hired someone that had been previously fired? Is that how, I'm assuming that would work?
Well, I don't think, as I said before, I don't think that this question here really has to do, that is in the past.
No,
We're looking at the future.
Well,
What do we do, how do we go forward?
right, so
Okay.
going forward,
How do we go
is
forward?
that the police chief that would, the next police chief that would do that?
Yes.
Well, the police chief would definitely have a part in it, yes ma'am,
Okay, all right.
yes ma'am.
I don't know our finances specifically. I understand that there's a big gap between the Hanceville Police Department, what they make, and say the Coleman Sheriff's or the Coleman City Police Department. Is there that big of a gap? Can we afford to hire the qualified police officers like they do have in Coleman City and Coleman County?
Well, that's a good question, and that is one of those questions that really we have to have time to investigate to see exactly where that would take us. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I guess not knowing where our budget lies, and if all of our money comes directly just from the Hanceville City residents, I guess that's what's gonna help make that decision, is if we can afford to go forward with the true qualified people that need and deserve to be paid what they're supposed to pay.
Yes, ma'am, that's a very good question.
Okay, and I guess that's it, I guess we'll have to figure that one out. Will you inform us later, or?
Sure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Please state your name and address, okay?
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Twist. I live on Wattsville Street in Hanceville. I've been a resident here for 18 months. It didn't take me that long to realize that there was some shady stuff going on in Hanceville. I didn't realize the extent of it. As far as the police department goes, I've heard the term bandied around about oversight. We need citizen oversight. Isn't that your job as the councilman should you not have been the ones that were doing the oversight for the police department? And if we rebuild the police department, which I think you should, who's gonna be doing the oversight? And who did that police chief report to? You guys not do the oversight? Did he not report to the mayor? Did you guys not elect him or find him?
I probably interject. It's a public comment. They'll answer these type questions.
Okay.
If everybody comes up and they have to answer everybody's questions, they'll be all night.
Okay.
So it's not that they're not listening to your questions, but it's not an answer question session. They really want to hear what you all have to say.
I think that we need to rebuild the police department. I think we need to reelect all of you guys, and not reelect you guys, but get new people up there that will do the oversight of the police department like it should have been done.
Thank you. And there will be an election. I think it's August 26th.
Hello, my name is Charles Wright. I live at 1500 Spruce Street. I'd like to request the council table the decision on whether or not to have a police department. News coverage of the last meeting said the overwhelming majority wanted to keep a police department. However, a poll taken by the Coleman Daily showed 83% in favor of abolishing it. In a town of over 3,000 citizens, the 3 dozen or so that showed up to the last meeting are not necessarily representative of what the majority of the citizens want. The best thing to do would be to allow the citizens to decide the issue by putting it on the next election's ballot and work to provide as much information to the citizens as possible so they can make an informed decision. A former Hanceville mayor suggested letting the elected council decide the issue was also a reasonable idea. John Adams wrote that liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge of the people. On March the 1st, I submitted a public records request to the city of Hanceville and have yet to receive the records I requested. I went to City Hall and talked to the mayor about being able to inspect the records I was interested in and was told that I could not. I was asked to fill out and sign a form that stated I'd be charged $1 a page and I'd have to make a deposit. I'm aware that others have requested information of the city regarding the claim that prior to the dispatcher's death, an effort was made to reach out for help. Alabama Code 361240 states that every citizen has a right to inspect and take a copy of any public writing of the state. The governor issued Executive Order 734 in 2023 instructing how open records requests should be handled. I request that Hanceville comply with the EO and the Alabama Open Records Act, but is unclear whether they will do so. Please provide the requested public records and table the issue today. We've only had 2 weeks to see how Coleman County performs. If the plan here is to have the same mayor and council just hire different police officers but nothing else change, that would meet Einstein's definition of insanity, trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Before deciding to go against the grand jury's recommendation, please tell the citizens exactly what is going to be done differently to ensure the proper supervision and training of the Hanceville Police Department. The mayor and council need to ensure that citizens will not be getting their civil rights violated going forward at the hands of Hanceville police employees. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Turned up a little bit.
And just to be clear, if you remember, I believe there were 3 or 4 people in the hallway there when we talked that day. And I don't think I told you that you couldn't get those. I told you there was a process to go through to retrieve them. Is that right? Is that correct?
Well, I recall asking if I could inspect records and you told me we didn't do that. But
I told you there was a process to go through to get those.
Yeah.
Anything, if you remember, I told you anything that we're allowed to give you, we would be glad to give you, but there was a process to go through.
Sure. And I'm not trying to say, I'm just simply saying I would like records. I think that we need more information, and I'm sure that, I want to give you an opportunity to provide what I asked for. And I know that there are timelines, and you probably will within those timelines. So
Okay. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, my point is just that I'd like to know more information, and if I can't get the information, it's hard to make a decision on what, form of opinion. Thank you.
Anyone?
Yes, it's hard.
I'm Dan Davis. I live in Hanceville. And this board last week, they said, we need the public's help to come forward too. And we hear it all the time, if you see something, say something. And I just want to say that I'm the one that recorded that video at Wallace State of the unsecured firearm. And that was 2 years ago. And I didn't no more feel good about it. And I gave that video to Morgan Hightower at WBRC 6 News because I was, after all this is going on, my intuition was I didn't know which one of those, there were like 4 young men in there. I didn't know which one was a police officer, but I watched carefully. I wasn't about to go up and go around trying to find out who it was. And I just want to say that that Wallace State Wellness Center is it's open to the public. Anybody can come in and out of there, and it's welcome to anyone from 18 to 80. And there are some grandparents there that bring their grandchildren there.
Okay, sir.
I tried to submit this information to the DA's office.
But this we've already said.
Okay, but
we're already said.
Okay, but it's very.
What
This is really important.
Well, no, sir. This is not the time for that. This is the time for you to give your comment of why you think we need to continue.
We need to rip it out by the root.
Okay.
For it never to return.
Okay.
That's my humble opinion.
Okay, sir.
And I saw something, and I'm coming forward to say something. And if you ever...
That's what we were looking for, right there.
So that's what I'm doing. And I have more information here that I tried to give to the DA the other day, and he said that the sheriff's office is handling the investigation.
Yes, sir.
And since the high sheriff is here,
if you'll bring that by the office, we'll take it up there to him if that's where it needs to go.
You'll take it?
I'll go with you, or you can go with me, and we'll.
I don't want to go to the sheriff's office.
I'll be glad to take it.
I talked to. Okay. Well, I called my brother, and he said, "Hey, carry it up to Champ Crocker."
Sir, that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Good boy, man. You're right, brother. The sheriff, go on, brother. Yeah. It's full. Anybody else? Come on.
My name is Stanley Sampson, 104 Edmondson Road. I'd like to challenge each one of y'all. Let's do something for Hanceville we can get a bang for our buck. Because for what we've been spending our money on, for what I saw on my TV screen, we've just been causing more problems, not helping more problems.
Amen.
And I've been telling you, I've told y'all before, and Mr. Campbell told you, they target the older people.
Amen.
Because they feel like
Mr. Sansing, that is not what we're here for, okay? We're not, Mr. Sansing, that is not what we're here for, sir.
And that's why we need to do away
I
with it.
will have you carried out, okay?
Give it to the sheriff's department.
Sheriff,
Because that's all
Mr.
we need.
Sansing needs to be escorted
I
out.
don't want to be escorted out. 'Cause I think
Well,
we
you're
should
going
go
to,
with
because
the
you're not
sheriff.
sticking to what we're here for.
Right, sir. It's the first
Okay.
thing. I have a right to 3 minutes. And y'all, and it hasn't been long ago that Mr. Nuss told me that they were targeting him.
Mr. Sansing, that is not what we're here
That's,
for.
well, I think we should do away with the police department.
Every officer from the city.
No transparency.
Way to go, brother. Here we go.
Council. My name is Eric Ballmeyer. I reside here in Hanceville. It's none of your business, my address. I thought.
There we go.
Sir, as the mayor, I mean you no disrespect. It is my first constitutional amendment to speak on whatever I'd like to for the
No,
3
sir,
minutes
not at
that you
this
allotted
point,
me.
sir.
Sir,
Listen,
the 3
we're
minutes you allotted me, you need to respect my opinion due to my constitutional amendment.
I will.
And that is the problem with this community. It starts with you. That's why our police department's corrupt. because they don't even know their amendments.
I will if your opinion gets to the subject that
Yes,
we
sir.
talked about to start with.
It starts with you.
Okay.
And as far as I
What-
understand, and I may not be right, I may be wrong, I moved
Okay.
here a year and a half ago. It is to my knowledge that you were appointed, you were not voted in.
That's right. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yes, sir. So it starts with you, correct?
Yes.
What is your opinion about the
My
police
opinion is
department?
it needs to completely be abolished because
Okay.
this whole council does.
Okay.
It starts with you, sir.
Well, that's it.
You are sitting here telling every
That's your
citizen
opinion.
in this community that is here tonight that
Okay.
they cannot speak only on certain things. Sir, you can stop that
We're
jab. I
gonna
haven't had my
close
3
the
minutes.
opinion
I have not
because
had my
it's
3
getting out of
minutes.
hand.
So my opinion doesn't matter in this Hanceville community, does it? Can you answer my question, Mayor?
I need him to be removed.
No, sir, I'm not going to be removed.
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, absolutely.
You are.
So, yes, sir.
You're gonna be removed.
Thank you for showing the community you
Sheriff,
don't know about our
can
civil
you-
rights.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, our opinion, that's it. We're closing the opinion.
Real quick.
Okay,
Lisa
all right, ma'am.
Robinson, I live in the county
Okay.
area of Hanceville. This is my opinion on the matter. I'm not going to get controversial. I think if you're affected by this matter, but I cannot vote for you because I don't live in the city limits, it should be open to a public forum and a vote to see who everybody wants to be protected by.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do here tonight. That's exactly what this is all about.
That's all. It should be open to everybody affected by it, not just the people that live in the city limits of Hanceville that can vote for you or anybody else up here. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak.
I'm going to close the public comments, okay?
Oh, you
Well, of course you will, Jimmy.
Yes.
Close it right now.
Oh, hey, now what about mine? What? Are you serious?
My name is Brian Kelly.
I did.
But I want to say
Brian.
we should be going.
Brian.
The sheriff is doing a great job. I've been here 62 years and they are for sure. Lord, anytime. I know, Jimmy. Get your gavel.
Mr. Campbell,
Brian, that's not the way you were talking to me a while ago.
he just said, and he was closing comments. Hold on, wait a second. Look, everybody on this panel up here knows who I am. I know you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you give 3 minutes, sir. I will go.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The comments are closed. We closed the public comment. No more public comment.
I'm telling you what, that was
I'm going to ask the clerk if she'll call the roll.
Counselor Stam? Counselor Dean Tucker? Counselor Nuss?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown? Counselor Cornelius? Mayor Sawyer?
Here. Okay, you have the agenda before you. I'll need a motion to accept that agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as been presented. All those in favor, let it know by saying aye. Is there any opposed? There is none. One item of business on the agenda this afternoon is the future of the Hanceville Police Department. And Sheriff Gentry, since you're here, would you like to make any comments concerning the Sheriff's Department? Yes, sir, Mayor. And what we can expect, or how you plan to provide security and protection for Hanceville if that is what the council were to choose to do.
Sure. Yes, sir, Mayor. Let me see if I can get this thing here. We go. So I want to try to address both sides at the same time, but you know, I know there's a lot of fear and a lot of concerns, and we fully understand that. And so right now I'm going to speak to the citizens of Hanceville and the community. So you're feeling all kind of emotions, and we know that. You can see it. You can feel it in the air. But let me say this. Once we found out that there was the issues and there was these indictments come down, then, of course, the mayor and them reached out to us and said, we need help. Now, I grew up here. This is my home. This is where our deputies, this is what we do. And so we said, listen, we're going to be here to help you. We're going to be here to work with you through this process, whatever you decide. This is y'all's decision, not mine. So the day this come down and the day we found out about this, we said, so most people don't know, at the Coleman County Sheriff's Office, you have all of Coleman County, and as the sheriff, you're the sheriff of all the county, not just one community here or there. I'm the sheriff of Hanceville, I'm the sheriff of New Canaan, I'm the sheriff of Good Hope. And so when this came down, we're very blessed in Coleman because we have a good working relationship with the community and everybody. So one of the first things we looked at the sheriff's office, when I'm fully staffed, I have around just shy of 170 employees. We have over what I call 100 gun toters. That's deputies, could be investigators, could be working at the courthouse, could be on patrol, could all the different areas that we cover at the sheriff's office. Then we run dispatch, and then we run the jail. So we have a detention facility that, on an average day in and day out, we run 400 to 430 inmates. We house city inmates, we house county inmates, we house state inmates, and we house federal inmates. So when this come down, we knew that Hanceville was going to be in a process of hurt, anger, rebuilding to figure out what the mayor and the council can do that's going to best meet the needs of the citizens. So we told the mayor, on a certain day, your deputies would take over dispatching, or our dispatchers would take over dispatching and patrol in Hanceville. So let me explain our dispatching system. Most counties have a lot of municipalities in there. We don't have that in Coleman County. We only have 2 with law enforcement. That's the city of Hanceville and the city of Coleman. But we have 3 PSAPs. Now what that means is 3 dispatch centers. It's really a blessing because if a storm hits one, if the sheriff's office went down, then the city of Coleman or Hanceville could dispatch. So that was an easy switch for us to help out while we worked through this process. So at a certain time, we took over dispatching. Hanceville averages about 8,000 calls a year, just shy of 8,000. So what we did then is we took a deputy that's off duty, and we're paying them overtime to be solely in Hanceville. Just so you know how your deputies work, when our deputies come on duty, they come out in the community, they're on duty right then. They're not dispatched from the sheriff's office in the middle of Coleman. They're down here. So when calls come out, they're already in your area. Let's say one of them made an arrest, because I know response time was always a big question that I've heard in this. So right now, and we've checked the numbers, our response time is the same or similar to what Hanceville Police Department was providing. Now, of course, our deputies have not been in this area a lot, so they're probably learning the streets and the roads and those kind of things. But so far, it's been a very smooth process while we're doing this. So that was kind of the first thing. We took over dispatching so they could work through the process. And then we have deputies that are down here that we're paying overtime to be in your area, to make sure that this area is taken care of, just like in our sheriff's office, we have 7 districts. So we just put a deputy down here like an 8th district. So that was the first part, to make sure that you're taken care of, that you never miss a beat. If you need help, the deputies are here. If something happened, let's say the deputy that works Hanceville, because I had this question, well, what happens if they make an arrest? If a deputy makes an arrest in Hanceville and they're transporting that prisoner to the Coleman County Detention Center, which is where they all go, then if there's a call comes out, then the 2 adjoining deputies that join this area, one of them would slide over and provide that law enforcement and catch those calls while maybe they're booking someone in at the detention facility. That way, the biggest thing, and this is what the mayor and the council expressed to me, is we know we're in a tough time, but we don't want our citizens to miss 1 ounce of anything as far as being protected. They told me that. They said, we want to make sure that they're not losing anything. They're upset, they're scared, they don't know what's going on, so that's the first thing we did. Now, there's a lot of questions and a lot of rumors, and I'm here to help the mayor and the council make decisions on what can best meet the needs of the citizens. And I will say this, I know the young lady that was up here asking about, well, some of these people work for us. That is correct. And when we fire law enforcement, it is the job of a chief of police. If I fire you or you leave, it is the job of that chief to call, like what we do at the sheriff's office. If you leave another law enforcement agency, or if you work a civilian job and you're coming into law enforcement, we do background checks, we take tests, we do all of these things to ensure an interview process. There's a whole big line of process before we hire someone. So if they did work there, because a couple of those guys did, but they were either terminated or left because they didn't meet our standards, then it's the responsibility of that law enforcement agency, because we flagged them with a post for them to call. So that should happen. I will say this, we never got any phone calls. I'm not blaming the mayor or the council. That is the job of the chief of police.
Yes.
So that is his job, of the one that they had to do those things. And you should have a process. So right now, it's looking at an average, and this is one of the things I wanted to talk to the mayor and the council. Right now, we're providing 24-hour law enforcement, paying overtime, which I'll say we can do it, but we can't sustain that forever because our guys are working on their off days here. Again, we know that you can only work so much before you're just wore slap out. But what it's averaging right now is about $25,000 a month is what it's costing us just on salaries to provide 24-hour law enforcement. That doesn't count vehicles, fuel, or anything else. That's just the basic 24-hour coverage with deputies assigned that are working in this area to the community. So, you know, I would ask, that's something maybe the mayor and the council, something that y'all talk about, looking at possibly reimbursing us. It would help, because that was something that we had not prepared for, just like y'all. We didn't know this was coming about. So, but it's a trying time, and you've got to figure out and work with the mayor and the council to say what is going to be the best for the community. So you've got some decisions, and so you can do this on many levels. Of course, mayor and council, y'all can rebuild an entire police department, dispatch center, jail. I mean, because that's what y'all have always ran. We're more than happy to go into negotiations with y'all. If you don't want to run a jail, we already house City of Coleman inmates. We house county inmates. We house state inmates. We house federal inmates. That's an option. If you say we don't want nothing to do with the jail, we'll be more than happy to negotiate and talk with y'all about that. Same way with, if you say I don't want to run dispatch or jail, we'll meet and talk. And if you say we don't want to do any of it, then we would meet and talk. I will say this, we've already looked at what it would take to cover for if the mayor and the council decided today and said, we don't want any more law, we don't want a police department. What it would take is a minimum of 20 employees for us to hire to make sure that everything and the needs is met. That counts jail, dispatch, and patrol down here, and assigning another investigator to work all the felony cases in your area. So, and again, I'm here to help the mayor and the council, whatever y'all decide with the community. You know, we'll work with you through that process, whatever it takes to make it good for this community. This is a great community.
He's got to let us talk,
So-
though. He's got to let us talk.
I know, we'll talk. But this is a great community. I mean, if it wasn't a great community, you wouldn't have all these citizens here. You know, you can tell the citizens love their community. They want good law enforcement. They want good leadership. And so we're here to help. And again, I want to dispel, if there's rumors, we'll dispel rumors. Somebody asked me the question one time. They said, well, again, we didn't have anything to do with the investigation in Hanceville as far as the Ethics Commission or the State Bureau of Investigation. But this is what I wanted to say. We live in a good community. We have good law enforcement. And it is my job to get up and say that. You know, Hanceville's not a bad community. Anybody that says Hanceville's bad and crazy has never been around. I've been in some bad communities before. I've been in some rough places. We live in a good community because look at the number of citizens that are in here to say that they love their community and they want to make it better. And so we're just here to help you make it better. So Mayor, Council, I'm here to answer any questions or thoughts that y'all may have, and I'll help you with any of that.
Okay, we're open for discussion. Any questions for the sheriff?
Sheriff, on the patrol, what you said 20 officers is what deputies would be. That's including dispatch, jail, and so forth. How many would that be as far as what you think would be sufficient? Is that the total amount we would be able to have, or is there a sufficient number that we could get by with as far as what we're used to as far as the
take over Hanceville Police Department. First, I would have to get approval from the county commission to hire that many more. What we would look at is adding 4 more to the detention facility, 4 more to dispatch that we already do, and then the other 12 would be in this area. What we would look at doing is have a lieutenant, a sergeant, an investigator, and the rest would be deputies that would be covering this 24 hours a day. That's kind of the way we have everything set up today to run. I mean, that's the way our operations run day to day, 24 hours a day. We have a lieutenant, typically 1 sergeant, could be 2 sergeants, depending on if they're an FTO supervisor or not, and they're running 24 hours a day. We have currently 14 investigators at the sheriff's office now, which we would want to add another investigator to handle all of the felony calls and any felony crime that happen within this jurisdiction. So. But let me, as far as a time, once it's approved, then we would start going on recruitment to hire. As you know, it's not easy anymore to hire in law enforcement. It's a very tough situation to hire in law enforcement because most people don't want to come into a field where you're not going to make a lot of money, and no matter typically what happens, you're dealing with the worst of the worst situations. Just like this, I mean, if you had asked me 11 years ago when I get elected if I would be having this conversation, I would tell you no, I would have never thought, but we deal with the hand that is dealt, and we try to make it the best situation that we can.
What would that estimated? I know we can't get an exact figure due to the salaries at the higher end point, and as far as any type of overtime, as far as transferring any officers to this area. Do we have a dollar figure that we're estimation of what that would cost for 20 new personnel coming from the sheriff's department?
So I would look at, again, when we add personnel, there's a lot of things that you got to take into account. Of course, retirement. We would have to outfit new vehicles. I don't know if you've not had to buy patrol cars or put in blue lights, but I just bought 2 new patrol cars the other day. 2 patrol cars ran us $96,000. 2. That doesn't count blue lights and the equipment to go in them. That's another $30,000 on top of that. So, first I would have to look at those numbers, the benefits, and we have to estimate. But I would roughly, and I know somebody would probably fall out, but I would roughly say it would be about $1.7 million to take it over and do that. So I heard a question, and I can help. I know. So a satellite office, we have satellite offices already. And satellite offices for us, because our deputies stay in the community, maybe if a citizen called and said, I need to meet somewhere, maybe, they could meet at the satellite office, use the restroom, do paperwork. It keeps them in the community. Currently, we have satellite offices in Bayleton, Good Hope, Garden City, Crane Hill. now. And it just keeps our deputies in the area, and it gives them a place. Again, I know most of you've probably not been out at night, but you know, if you're out at Crane Hill at midnight, and it's hard to find a place to stop and use the restroom sometimes. So we keep satellite offices for that.
How come you can't use the same vehicles that Hanceville already has?
Those belong to the city of Hanceville, so that could be something that could be negotiated.
How many officers did you say would be in Hanceville?
We would look at putting, when I say 12, at least 12 A-post certified deputies down here.
That's 6 per shift.
No, ma'am, that's 2 per shift. So we would run 2 per shift, day, night, with a floater, a lieutenant, a sergeant, and a investigator.
Okay, let me ask you. If we decided to look at putting off our police department temporarily, what kind of contract could we sign up? Would you be agreeable to?
Sure.
I'm asking
No.
for a period of time.
So the one thing I would ask is that, you know, we're covering it. Our guys are coming in, our guys and girls are coming in on overtime. I would ask that maybe it be something that maybe y'all come up with pretty quickly as far as decisions on what direction y'all want to go. But, you know, we could maintain without just running them in the ground for a few months. You know, I would say 3-4 months. Again, and all we would ask is you just reimburse their overtime. It could be a little more than $25,000, or it could be a little less, but that's kind of the average. I spoke to the county administrator today, and he said that's what we're looking at spending a month. And of course, we would provide a detailed list of the deputies and the hours, just like we do when we contract with other agencies like Wallace. When we work the ball games at Wallace and they reimburse, it's the same thing that we do then. So, and I guess my question to you is, if that is, what level would you want? Would you want us doing all of it? Of course, you know, of course the jail is easy, but would you want us doing the dispatching too? Would you want us to do just patrol and y'all run your own dispatch in jail? So it would really be what level that y'all would want us to operate at.
I think that's something that we've got to sit down and decide too.
Yes, ma'am.
What would it take, since some people have offered the option of allowing the citizens to vote, what would it take to have it added onto the special election for District 11? That's what it may.
I don't know. That's a good attorney question. I'm not an attorney, so I'd have to do that.
How much do we currently spend?
I'm sorry, I just did not hear her.
She was asking about putting it on the ballot to whether or not to have a police department or not in Hanceville, putting it on the ballot.
Put it on the ballot.
It'd be only a questionable referendum. There is no such ballot.
Put it on the ballot, that's a citizen's vote.
Yeah.
There's no mechanism for it. If you're asking for a poll, basically, it would fare out a lot cheaper to call everybody on the phone and ask them.
Well, you have to do that.
So I don't know about municipal law, but I can tell you under county law. So if there's an issue that we want citizens to vote on in the county, just like I'll go back to 2018, we voted out remember the old-timey food bill law where sheriffs had to do all that? So we put it on the ballot, and we put it out to the citizens, and I gave up, and you can Google, there's interviews and videos of why we want you to vote to get this changed. So I had the legislature put it on the ballot, so that means that the state representatives passed it in the House, then it went to the Senate, and then the Senate passed it, and it put it on our ballot. And then, of course, hey, we were a win in Coleman, we voted it out at 88%, and that changed the law, and it gave us a constitutional amendment to that law.
Well, you have the special election for District 11, which is only going to cover half the city anyway. But you do have the municipal election coming in August, which is 6 months.
Yeah.
But these are not things that put on the election. The things Sheriff is talking about are, when you have a constitutional amendment, all of those things have to be voted on. This is not a procedure that is voted on by the populace. It is a council decision. But what you're thinking, I think you were asking is how would you have, you're wanting it to be basically a poll. There's no law that says.
Well, it was mentioned to let the citizens decide, and would that not go right along with choosing the council?
No, that would take a constitutional amendment to do that. And then you're talking about a statewide.
Can you speak in your microphone so the rest of us can hear you?
Yeah, you got it.
I didn't want you to hear. No, yeah, I can. I'm sorry. The answer to the question is, if you put that on the ballot, the only thing that you could vote on, it would be just a poll, basically. In other words, it's not a law you'd be changing. If you did, you'd be changing it statewide, which would be a constitutional amendment. So it would not be a practical, nor, in fact, there's no mechanism to do it that way. It's just talking about putting it on the ballot. It's not possible.
Well, and I can help. So I think the biggest thing what Mr. Willingham was saying is it's not a law for you to have a police department.
Right.
You know, that's not a law. That's a choice and a decision that's made by the mayor and the council. So.
So we ain't got no rights.
To follow that, that's exactly, you understand that there is, a lot of municipalities have police departments. I think if you go to Blount County, you'll find probably, 8 or 10 or something like that.
I know Morgan County has 7 police departments in Morgan County. So.
Coleman has 2.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no requirement whatsoever. That is purely a local decision. A municipality makes its own decision if it has a police department or not. It can have a police department and not a jail. If it does not have a jail, then it has to be discussed with the sheriff how to have a jail. There'd have to be some negotiation there. But it's not a requirement that it have a court system, a police, nor a reserve police.
So really, our votes and what we have to say and our votes really doesn't matter.
Well,
Doesn't really matter.
your votes always matter. Let me kind of cover, that's all right, if you don't mind. Let me kind of cover when people say they have a First Amendment right. Everybody has a First Amendment right. This body here would never, ever want to interfere with anybody's First Amendment. But you understand the way the law reads, this is a meeting that the population is invited to. It is a meeting of the council. Actually, a lot of places never have anybody speak. So it's not a constitutional right issue. You have a right to say, but not necessarily at this forum. The council's just been very liberal to hear everybody's comments. So it's the opposite of what you think. They're really giving you a lot more than the law gives. But my answer to the other questions are, the municipality makes a decision. You have your right to vote on the elected officials who make that decision, which is almost universally true. If the citizens voted on every issue before them, that's all we would do, would be sitting in a polling place. You elect democratically, you elect in this republic a representation that makes these ultimate decisions. I didn't mean to be a civics lesson.
And I'll address it. So I know there was one, I heard somebody ask a question, well, how do we know that, like, the deputy sheriffs are trained in all this? So we do have a rigorous, when we hire somebody, whether it's in the jail or going to patrol or what those other, we do, you know, an FTO program. We have a rigorous hiring program where, you know, if you're going to work in the jail, you're going to the road, you got to take physical fitness tests. You have to take psych evaluations. You have to do all of these things. When you go to the roads, you have to be paired up with a field training officer and pass all of those requirements before you're put out on your own. So it's not just here's a gun, here's a badge, you go out and do what you want to. So, and that's the way we're set up in law enforcement to run an agency, especially the size of the sheriff's office. To reiterate, we've been housing city inmates since 2005. We built our facility in 2005. We've been housing city of Coleman inmates since then. And of course, like I said before, we got county, state, and feds. So, you know, we're here to help whatever we need to do. But questions?
What's the current budget of the police department now? The current budget of the PD for Hanceville?
Right at 1.5 million. That's salaries and basic operational cost. It's not any equipment like Matt was referring to, squad cars. That's not in that number of assets. That is just operating costs. So it's about $1 million personnel salaries and then about $500,000 worth of operating costs.
And you got to remember too, when you do that, you got the insurances. You know, we have to have insurance coverage. We have to have equipment where you're outfitting deputies. There's a lot more, of course, fuel and all the other resources that goes into it. So it's not a cheap thing anymore to do. But questions?
I just wanted to say, there really is a lot going into this decision. I know you guys are sitting back there and you have to understand, we care about the city. We do. The thing of it is, when this was come down on us as a city, we still have officers that are on leave right now. And they were not involved in this. And dispatchers, that's right. That were not involved in the indictment.
And if they're still clear, then why, if they're clear and not indicted, can we not bring them back if they qualify, like they weren't fired before or something like that? Can they not come back and help out? Amen. With the sheriff's office?
That is something that we as a body have got to decide. And we want y'all to be happy with what our decisions are, because y'all are important to us. I know I've got people sitting back there pointing fingers, but I'm here to tell you, we're up here taking this from all of y'all that are so negative towards us. We're sitting here taking this with every thought that runs through one's mind of being responsible. And I just want to say that there's a lot, and we've talked, we've thought about, we've investigated. I have been to the Coleman Police Department this week. I have talked to their chief and their assistant chief. They have offered us assistance as far as training. So, look, we're not sitting on our hands thinking we can't do this. Either you guys want it or you don't. And that's what it's about.
We want it. That is a fair statement, in all honesty. Because I read the statement that was given out by the district attorney today. And I will quote from it. In the immediate aftermath of Chris Willingham's death, I recommended that Chief Marlin call SBI for assistance, which he declined to do. Now, who is supervising Chief Marlin?
Yes, I want to know that because I got something to say.
I
Yes.
can tell you whose job it is. It's the job of every single person sitting up there. And you want us to have confidence that you're shaking your head no. It's certainly not anybody here's job to supervise Chief Marlin. The buck stops someplace, and it stops up there with that board. And if we don't have confidence in the board, we're entitled.
We hear you, and like I said, August 26th is when you can make a difference. If you're not satisfied with this mayor and council, you can make a difference then.
In the statute that allows for a special
But right now,
election.
we've got to make a decision. If this group has to make a decision of what we're going to do, okay?
Why can't you temporarily?
Well, that could be the decision. That is the decision that this group has to make. That's where we're trying to get to tonight. Is where do we go from here? What decision do we make? And that is a possibility. Yes, ma'am.
What about the safety of the
So-
children in the community?
Ma'am?
What about the safety of the children in the community? I have cars flying up and down my street left and right. We're
Okay.
paying for these county officers to be here, and I haven't seen one. I live in the
Well, that is, and
Yeah.
we
So
understand that.
tell me where you live at. Louise Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
I live right off East Railroad, and
Okay.
we fly up and down there.
All right. Do you know what time?
It's like in the afternoon, like right
Okay.
after school is released, so we have kids in the neighborhood. They're all outside
will say this, the deputies are down here, I'll make sure that they get on Louise Street. I've got Lieutenant Whaley in the back, so we'll take a note on Louise. You said Louise Street? Okay, okay. Yep. Sure. Sure. And let me say this, if y'all have problems like speeders and stuff like that, you're more welcome, if you can email us those concerns. We have a system on our email system at the sheriff's office. Of course, if you see a deputy, hey, stop and talk to them. And or through Messenger on Facebook, we have our guys check it. So if you have those concerns or what we call close patrols, then we'll get those issued with the lieutenant. So yeah. No, they will. They will. Louise Street. Okay. Yeah, Lieutenant Whaley's got it.
What's the email address?
It should be colemansheriff.org. See, Vernon's over here asking me hard questions. Yes, ma'am. That's overtime, correct. Sure.
And the last sheriff council we had, I have to say, I was unimpressed.
So they were not sheriffs. I don't know who they're not sheriffs. No, yeah.
The problem we got going on over by our house is the train tracks.
Okay.
Every night about 2 o'clock, there is some sort of deuce of hazard thing going on. There are people sitting on the train tracks, y'all with video cameras, with everybody, while cars go.
Okay, and that's Ash Wonder Street? Okay. Yeah, we don't want Dukes of Hazzard, so we'll let them know that.
At the beginning, when all this happened, I noticed that we had like 4 to 5 police officers sitting on Highway 31 between the county and the state troopers. Everybody knows that certain cities are a hotbed for the ticket zones.
Sure.
But my question is, do we need them sitting there all of 31, whereas like they were saying before too, they were patrolling before. I can walk out my door and there'd be a police officer go by.
Sure.
My concern for that is that, yeah, they're out there ticketing, it's the revenue. However, they're not patrolling like they were before.
Sure.
So if they could increase the patrolling in the city like they have, instead of trying to get all those speed tickets. I haven't seen as many.
Sure.
There was like easy, boom, boom.
Well, I think that was troopers, and I'll tell you a funny joke about deputies, okay? So what do you call a sheriff that writes a lot of speeding tickets? No, unemployed. So we don't, so our guys are out there, making sure everybody, but I'll make sure that they know that. And again, you gotta remember, our guys are learning these streets too. When I started at the sheriff's office, I had the little paper map and I would look at all my roads. Now these guys have got GPSs and all kind of stuff, but no, and I'll know this, let you know this. At the sheriff's office right now, we answer just shy of 80,000 calls for service a year. So our deputies are extremely busy. And so they're typically on call to call, and a lot of times, if they can sit up for just a second, they do rest. Yeah. Sure. Just remember that joke I told you. So, but Mayor, Council, anything? And I'll say something to Ms. Tucker too. I know you went to the city, and I know you have a connection to the city with the police department. But anything that you need or the council needs, we are double the size of the city of Coleman in law enforcement. From running a jail, they don't run a jail. They don't run a courthouse. They don't run civil process. They don't do all of these things. On the training, we do a ton of training. We built a training facility that we host training for free for law enforcement. So if y'all decide to keep with the police department, we do. Lieutenant Whaley back here is one of the greatest trainers we have. So we do all kind of trainings up there. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. That's the reason we built the facility on site at the sheriff's office, is so you can send law enforcement there. They can receive training, and it doesn't cost those agencies anything. So just know that's an option too. Yes, sir. So we wouldn't do that per shift, but
Census in 23, Hanceville was a little under 3,500 people population.
sure.
School comes in at 6,000 per student, 6,000.
Mhm.
That almost puts 10,000 people here.
Sure.
Hanceville needs a department,
Sure.
but it needs to be built. And I think
Yeah.
you can help that from ground up.
Well, and let me say this. When it comes to the decisions that the mayor and the council make, we're neutral. You know I'm standing up here because, the mayor, the council, they've asked, hey, can you come and help us? There's a lot of fear and a lot of questions. But at the end of the day, I'm neutral to the decision that y'all make. If whatever you make is your decision, and we will work with you every step of the way. And I think if anybody says that we won't, then they don't know us very well at the sheriff's office, because from day one we said, here we are, we will do whatever it takes to make sure our citizens are taken care of. And so, again, we're neutral to the decisions y'all make, but we can provide you information, we can help you, but at the end of the day, for us at the sheriff's office, we're neutral. We're just here to provide a service and help y'all with anything that you need.
Sheriff, I just want to say when I submitted that video,
Yes, sir.
I feared retaliation.
Sure.
That's the reason why I didn't come forward right away.
Sure.
But after what I heard, what happened to Mr. Campbell, I felt compelled to come forward and
Sure.
say what I said.
Sure.
I'm going to leave a report.
Yes, sir.
Can you assure me that I will face no retaliation?
You're good with us. There's no retaliation, so yeah, you're good with us. So.
I think you should table it. I think we have a terrific department here that can help us make a decision. Maybe you take 2 or 3 of you and you spend 2 weeks full-time, if there's a possibility, to really understand how this works. Because I'm new here and I'm learning a lot. And then you can inform each other and make a decision. And I think what you said is he could probably last doing this 3 or 4 months. So we have a little bit of time here to understand, not to give the whole thing away because of our past. Because if you don't have a police department and you have laws in the city of Hanceville, they can't enforce all of that, because what are they going to do? Have different laws everywhere they go? No. So it behooves us to keep a police department, but maybe we get rid of the jail part. Maybe we get rid of these parts. I mean, I learned a lot tonight, and he's willing to teach us. So I think if Sheriff Matt gave us recommendations what he would do if he was us, like that's what I'd like to see. Maybe we could vote on that. And thank you for being here. I'm new in this place. I realize we're all at fault. This isn't, but let's grow up. The country's in a mess because we're all at fault. Every single one of us. So let's stand up and say it's okay. We made mistakes, but we're going to go forward.
Thank
So
you,
that's
ma'am.
where I'm at. I think you're going to do a good job, and I would set up a little task force so you could really get his opinion, and then let's implement it, and let's not lose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Okay, council. Mayor.
We can't table this.
Okay, sure.
If
Thank
y'all
you.
need a police department,
Yeah.
if y'all table this tonight, those cameras, the news reporters are just gonna keep on reporting things. It's gonna be more bad, more bad, more bad.
Thank you, sir.
We need something.
Thank you.
And, my
Thank you.
biggest thing is that this can't be interfered. So I'm gonna ask you, Attorney, right, is correct?
Thank
Do you have a laptop or your phone? Mr. Willingham, you got your laptop or phone?
Yes.
Can you Google Alabama Code 1142-160?
Woo!
You can?
Just pay, Dean.
Come, Talk with him afterwards, okay?
Well, my thing is,
I got something to say, you and
Be good.
with everything that's gone on, Ms. Wilcox has been threatened, she's scared. Any new officers that come in and see something bad, they run and get out of here. Because they don't want to be a part of it, but they won't tell out of fear of retaliation against them. So it needs to be done. And what I'm going to ask of you tonight, I'm going to ask of all of y'all the same thing. Pick up your phone, 1-43-160.
Done got it.
Okay? What's that? You can vote right now. If all of y'all stand up, that council has to vote. He was submitted in, he wasn't elected, he was submitted. This council has to vote to have him removed.
Thank you, sir.
He can't be removed without a 2/3 vote.
Thank you, sir.
But you're the
Thank
police chief's boss.
Thank you, sir.
It's your choice.
We appreciate your comment,
to make
okay?
this.
He doesn't realize.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're good.
Sheriff Gentry, we appreciate your
Yes, sir.
coming and speaking with us, okay?
Yes, sir. And I'll leave this with you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
You or any members of the council that want to meet and review the policies and procedures that we have in place, you want to go through dispatch, patrol, we'll throw you in a patrol car and let you ride around, whatever you'd like to do. We'll be there to work with you every step of the way and help take care of the community. Again, to the citizens, we're out there. We're going to be taking care of you. If you have issues, you're going to see your deputies around and talk to them, and we'll take care of you, okay? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, council, we're open to discussion.
Well, I'd like for the council to consider and maybe making a motion to put the police department for evaluation for 60 to 90 days, so it gives us time to evaluate, find out, what we know and what we don't know. Also, as Patty had already talked to Coleman and also some other police chiefs, we can follow up on some of those and talk to some businesses here, business people. They want to have our police department here. And so I think it's very important for this community to have our own police department. But there's a lot of things we have to evaluate financially, besides looking at getting some, quality people, which one of the things we had talked about was having a hiring committee where it's not just placed on the mayor's responsibility, has it been in the past. And that, several of us could be on that committee and, evaluate and interview the process of potential candidates to be on the police department. The other thing we have to consider is our existing officers that we have and people that are in dispatch. We have to, what's fair to them. So there's things that we have to evaluate. And, you hate to lose people, good people. So I think we need time to evaluate, whether it's 30 days for first part, and then, next 30 days or 45 days to decide what to do from that point. Yes, revamp it, rebuild it back up.
I would agree with you, John. I think the main concern here is that a lot of people voice their opinion that a police department is what this community wants. The one thing that I do want more than anything is to make sure that police department performs and does exactly what they're supposed to do and have the integrity and the skill set to perform it at a high level that we can all be proud of. And that, exactly. And we've definitely heard you, and we want that too. We live here, have property here. I definitely want that also. So I don't think there's a person up here that doesn't. My opinion would be, though, it's going to take longer than that period. So I don't know how far that would be. It'd be a 6-month period, a year to evaluate and get a chief hired, someone to come in and have an organization come and evaluate what it would take to get us that organization of a police department, be it chief, be it investigator, the infrastructure, and then what that cost would be, what we could afford. Well, right now, we're at the $1.474 million, right, 1.5. We have the equipment that's established there, but as far as every year is going to have to replace those assets, so there is going to be some cost there. But I would want to know for sure, just like Sheriff Gentry said, do we have the budget to actually have a 20 personnel force? I don't know if we have that, or if we get a professional organization, which we've got many emails from Fraternal Order of Police, different organizations that will do that at no cost, which is one of the best things there is as far as that's what they perform. A lot of organizations, officer unions and things of that nature, organizations that send us their ability to do that for us. But I would think it was going to take more than 90 days, I think more than 6 months, especially to a year, to get that department built back into a situation that we could really express what we really want for the community. And that's trust, the integrity, and the skill set where they're trained and that they can do the job that we need them to do. But I think that would be a longer period than 90 days. So I definitely agree with you that building the department up, and that's the problem with bridging that gap with the sheriff department, is that they cannot hire additional officers without that contract. And I understand that being in the economics of the situation, being in the business world, economically, he cannot take on that responsibility without hiring additional officer, and without a contract, he cannot take that responsibility on that financially as far as the budget, his budget works, which I express my gratitude for Matt coming here and talking to us and telling us the real economics of the situation. But I think it's going to be a longer period. I think at least 6 months. If we found the right, and I'm good with the committee hiring an individual that could come in and build that department, that is the right individual to come build that department from the ground up, start completely fresh. And I do hate it for the individuals that had nothing to do with this, because it is terrible that they had nothing to do, just like us, not knowing not exactly what's going on over there. There's no way that those individuals, this is fair for them, but there is really nothing we can do as far as we cannot afford to keep paying them, and to pay the sheriff's department if we go down the $25,000 a road to keep that deputy a month. So start fresh, hire an individual to build from the ground up, and if that's 6 months, great. If that's a year, great, as long as we do it right. So.
I agree. I agree about doing it the right way with integrity. I think we also are really going to have to look at the policies and the handbook and the rules that were followed or not followed, and we need to put in some very strict guidelines that our employees need to follow. There needs to be a process by which all people are disciplined if they do something wrong, and it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be fair for every single person every single time. We can't look and put anything under the rug. It has to be out there, and you have to be held accountable. And if we don't hold people accountable and we don't know, then we're in this mess. So as officials, it is our job to redo a handbook in this process of hiring people and finding people, if that's what we decide to do. We have to give them the tools by which they can make this department right and fair and have integrity and follow the path it needs to follow. We can't just go in and say, okay, you're going to come run it without, okay, here are the guidelines, and this is what we expect, and if you do this, this will happen. It's not about who you are or where you are or who you're related to or where you came from. This is going to happen to any person that violates these rules. It has to be that way. That's just my opinion.
And the sheriff should have been that way. The sheriff's office should have, sheriff's place, right? Should have been that way.
So that will make that easier.
What I have in my wall, in my wall.
Exactly.
Amen.
And Sheriff, would you be willing to be on the committee so to help choose somebody that can run?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, and Mr. Cornelius is right. It starts with the top, so hiring the chief is the most important thing that you can do, because the right chief sets the right tone for everyone there and lets them start evaluating the rest of the employees that are still working for the city of Hanceville Police Department. And I agree that the sooner that can happen, the sooner that process starts on evaluating.
Who does the background of that chief?
The council can, and then we have a captain at the sheriff's office. Between us and the city, we would be more than happy. I'm not speaking for Chief Duncan, but we would be more than happy to sit down with the mayor and the chief to go through the background check of any potential chief that y'all want to hire and do the same process that we would.
Yes, and it would be an outside agency that does that background check. It's not just picking up the phone and saying, "You see a good guy." It's a paid business that does that for you as far as any kind of criminal activities, anything that they
Right,
can.
I know
Yes,
you a
ma'am.
long time. I know
Yes,
a lot of
sir.
people like that.
No, sir. No, sir. I'll retire at the end of this term. So,
I know.
ooh, I don't know about that.
Yes.
Well, thank you for the offer.
It don't pay enough, man.
And let me say this to the mayor and the council. If you decide and you go through the process and figure out a chief, then that chief would have access to our policies, procedures, everything that we do to be compliant. And that way you're not recreating the wheel. So, and again, we'll be working with whoever it is that y'all might decide upon. So,
If it,
I guess I'm telling my age, but I remember you just run up and down the street out here.
that's right. That's right. I tried to stay out of trouble.
can we make it, Matt, as far as what, I know your department's performing now at a high level as far as the hours they're putting in, but can we make it a 6 month, or, I mean, would that be a possibility through you?
Sure.
As far as trying to get to that point? As far as having a officer in the jurisdiction, which is our
Sure.
main goal, is to keep an officer in our jurisdiction.
Well, and let me say this, even if for some reason we couldn't, you're going to still have deputies that are going to be covering it. It doesn't matter. We'll still,
250 miles?
our districts are 150 miles, so our deputies cover about 150 square miles by themselves. So, but again, we would overlap those areas if we couldn't maintain that rate for that long.
Yes.
But I would say, this is my opinion, I'm like you, the consensus sounds like they prefer to keep their own law enforcement agency. I think the start of it is hiring the right chief. As soon as that happens, we'll go to work with that chief, saying, all the things that they may need, and we'll support that role until y'all can make additional hires and all that. And I think as you start to do that, then you can see our level start to decrease. So I think once those things start to happen, then you can see what we would have to do for y'all to decrease.
Yeah, hopefully it would be a quicker process, and I don't think, though, as far as a 6 month process, I think that's obtainable, possible. It just depends on the individuals.
Sure.
As far as goes there, but I don't know if, I just didn't want to put a stress on your department where the SO couldn't handle, and I hate to ask the deputies to do that kind of overtime and put that much time in.
Well, again, my biggest thing is I'll work with you day, night, it doesn't matter to me, to ensure that it's the quickest, smoothest transition for y'all.
I think and I have personally spoken to someone that has been recommended, and my understanding, and I've also spoken to one of the mayors in another city and his chief, and this person comes highly recommended. But let me tell you what he said to me, and I'll tell you also what the chief of police in Coleman told me. He said you can always get outside people to be on this hiring committee, and he recommended that we get maybe one person that is here in the city to be on it as well, to be a liaison for the citizens. If you don't trust what we have to say, They're there, they know what's going on. And he made the recommendation that we use other outside policemen to come in and be a part of that hiring process. So that was one thing. And I have talked to a couple of people that are interested that contacted us. And just to say, they have reached out and they are willing to come in and help organize and help us get our police department. And this person is a retired person. It's one of many names that Jimmy has got several candidates that has notified him. So that's something we have given great thought to. It's not about us. It's about doing what's right. This has hurt us terribly as a city. It's been a horrible injustice to our city what's happened with the officers that were indicted. And we're not for overlooking any of that. That's not what this is about. We've got to get our people covered so you guys feel secure, that you can go out in your yard in the evening, your children can be out. That's what it's about.
And accountability for the officers that do wrong.
Absolutely, absolutely. We want the very best, and the sheriff says they're willing to offer any schooling. Coleman Police Department has done the same thing. They have offered to help. Any school they have, they've opened their doors for anybody that we hire to come up there and be trained. So we've got a go-go with this and Coleman Police Department. I've said enough. I just want you guys to know.
Any other discussion? Okay, all right, okay.
Like I said, I think in a 6-month, year process is what I would like to make a motion to suspend the police department as it is now, and to give a 6-month to a year possible to hire a new. Excuse me, but I'm just saying to hire now, but wait and rebuild the department in 6 months to a year.
So are you going to release the people that have stayed through all this?
Yeah, I don't know what can we do with, we cannot rehire them now. I mean, as far as right now, they cannot work for the sheriff's office.
But you have them on paid administrative leave, so you're talking about completely.
We'd have to lay them off, either lay them off.
There's no procedure for it. Basically, they said go through the statute. I'm sorry. I didn't know if y'all could hear me down there. I was asked in regard to a reduction of force, a RIF, and the statute doesn't talk about how to put anybody on administrative leave for an extended period of time, but it does, if you put them on administrative leave with pay, then of course you can do that. But if you take them off of the payroll, then they recommend that we proceed through it as if it's a disciplinary. And then let me state that the statute doesn't really cover how to do it. Because I'm not saying that the people that you've got on administrative leave right now that have not been accused of anything, I'm not saying there's any wrongdoing with them, but they recommended at the league that we go through it as procedurally the same as it would as a disciplinary. I don't want to say that it is a disciplinary, because that's not what it would be. It would be basically a reduction in force pending your reaffirmation of what you're going to do. Does that make sense? They said, give them a hearing, etc. Do it as a due process. You all understand now that police officer, law enforcement are given different rules than typical employees. And so I'm doing the best I can. You know, I get told that often. I don't have a very strong voice, sorry. And talking about how to, if you take the employees, and I'm emphasizing that that's not an accusation that they've done anything wrong, but that the League of Municipalities recommended that we proceed as though it were under that statute. And it specifically says, give notice of it, they have a right to be heard, etc.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Okay.
What is the ratio now of sheriff's officers patrolling the area and what it was when we had a full police force? Well, we got one officer, or do we have two, we have four?
Most of the time, we had 1 to 2 officers patrolling, where now we have 1 deputy in the police jurisdiction. So sometimes we had 2 officers on duty and sometimes 1, and then, of course, chief, if he's available.
Okay, Mr. Canese, did you want to make a motion?
Can I make a statement?
Real quick.
It happened, and I mean no disrespect to anybody sitting up here. It happened under your administration, and I would like to see it fixed under your administration. Not pawn it off for somebody else that may want to run for city council. Some of y'all may see re-election, some of you may not. Somebody else shouldn't have to come in behind you and fix something that may or may not, you may have known about, may not have known about. I'm not throwing any shadow on that. But if it happened under your watch, I would like to see it fixed under your watch. I would like to see a chief hired almost immediately that meets the criteria and immediately going to hiring people, evaluating the current staff that is here, that they meet the requirements needed, put them back on payroll, in patrol, and move forward with this as quickly as possible while taking all factors into consideration. Not kicking it down the road. There is a lot of information and stuff to do in a short amount of time. But a chief that is qualified can immediately start with the city, with the county, whoever else, and start the hiring process now. Start the evaluation process now.
Amen, brother.
Now, you misunderstood what I was saying is it would be up to, he could start immediately, we're looking for a chief, but it would take up to 6 months. So I say but now as far as the individuals that's there now, I cannot guarantee them what we can do with them and pay the sheriff's department. We cannot continuate with administrative leave if we don't have a department.
If we have a chief now and that process.
But I don't know how long that's going to be. If we hired a chief tomorrow, that's great, but I don't know if we can get that even committee together to get that.
We don't need a chief tomorrow, that'd be crazy.
Yes, exactly. That's the reason. It could be a monthly process compared to something that can happen overnight. It's not going to be, I definitely don't want to start, and we're in the same situation. This community is in the same situation in 2 years from now.
That's right.
Because most of all these stories I've heard last council meeting and this one also is stuff that's happened not last year, but last year, the year after, before that, year before that. So it's not it's something that's been continuation. So we want to fix it now, fix it right. But if we rush it, I'm afraid we'll be right back in the same boat.
You're absolutely right.
All right, so do you want to make a motion?
Hey, Dean, you said something to me at last meeting, ma'am. I appreciate you standing up for that. Everybody knows
you want to make a motion?
I have 3 boys here. I love my town, I love my police department, but I'm gonna be honest, it scares me to death. I'm afraid of these cops, any of them, except the ones that I really, really know. I know my sheriff, I know. But I am so afraid of these policemen because they have targeted my family, sir. Mayor, I'm just letting you know. Okay? They have targeted my family. I got proof of that. I just want my police station back.
Yes.
A good one.
We got you. Jana?
I want to know if I understand this correctly. The motion that you're making, the people that are on administrative leave right now, the employees that did nothing, what's going to happen to them? I mean, they did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
That would have to be determined, it sure would.
So what was the motion, to do away with everything?
The motion would be to suspend the police department and start immediately looking for a chief to rebuild the police department. Now, as far as being able to keep those employees with a RIF, which is what Dan just went over, we do not have the capabilities of keep paying them on administrative leave because we have no educated answer on how long this is going to take. And no, I understand they did not have anything, I mean, I'm not saying they did have anything, didn't have anything. I'm just saying we have no other option except without a police department to continue paying 12, Jimmy, how many we have right now on administrative leave? 12? 12 employees without having, a police department and paying the sheriff's deputies to continue.
Aren't some of those that's on administrative leave, though, officers?
Yes, we have 4 officers, all that's left on administrative leave. The rest are dispatch and records. Yeah, that would be the sheriff. Like I said, they would have to, the sheriff's, if he's doing, his office is doing everything, so there is no cross, like they work for him some, work for us some, because it would be the sheriff's office till we get our department back established.
With the police and chief of police, Matt's elected.
Yes.
Okay. The mayor normally hires the police chief, not the police chief.
I think in my motion, I would like to add, which what Patty recommends as far as a committee.
And I would concur with that.
Applications, let them come here and talk to everybody, do questions and answers.
That's
and everything
fine.
else, and elect the one that we want to work for us.
Well, we would definitely let him come and answer. Well, it would be an open forum.
No, you shut everybody down because one guy got loud.
Yeah.
Matt took care of it.
Yeah.
Wayne took him out.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
With the citizen, which what Patty, I think, proposed, let her correct me if I'm wrong, but having a citizen liaison on that committee, so they would be a citizen on that committee, which I have no problem putting that in my motion, which this is just my motion. It's just to be discussed.
Well,
If it doesn't catch a second, so.
Well, we've got a process here, and we need if we have a council member that wants to make a motion, then we have to get a second on that, and then we have to see how the council votes. So do you have a motion you'd like to make?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, make that motion.
To suspend the police department as we know it now, start immediately to search for a chief and let him rehire under his leadership and rebuild the police department. I do not know, and I do not know any other way that I can, unless Attorney Willingham can tell me or anyone else, I'd love to hear it, what we can do with those employees.
Hey, hold up. Excuse me. Okay, so you're making that motion. Is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we need a second to that motion before we can go any further. So I have a second to the motion.
Let me say this, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Would it help to retain your employees, because we're not under contract, and, y'all not giving us a dime, and we've not come and sent an invoice. If we said, hey, let's push it off another month and let us look, give y'all a month to take applications, try to hire somebody, because you can do a lot of background checks and stuff in a month. If you're not paying us, then theoretically, I don't know, that's an attorney question, but y'all could kind of float the boat down the river for a little bit. And
It's an economics
yeah.
question. It's not.
So if we said, hey, look, let's put off anything that y'all reimburse us for a little bit and let y'all hire a chief. That way they can get a chief hired, and then the new chief, then they can start the rebuilding process and re-interviewing of all the employees that you have. Now, it would be up to the new chief whether they keep or not.
Well, that was what I was getting at. He would have to start fresh anyway, so they would not have a job till he or she rehired. And so that's the reason why, due to the RIF of the reduction in force, we don't have a department. That's the reason trying to stay in the legality of it, either lay them off or be rehired. By no means immediately start looking for a chief. This could be a week. It could be 2 weeks. Now, I don't know that.
If we did that, would that help y'all?
Oh, definitely.
Make sure that they're okay, the employees are okay. and then y'all could start rebuilding fresh. Is that something, I guess legally, can they do that? So I don't have a problem with that. We'll continue to do what we're doing. You know, if you want to push it down another month, that way all of your employees are getting paid and they're taken care of and their families. And then that gives you another month or so to start the interview process and start taking applications immediately for a chief, start the vexing process with the committee. I'm okay with that if y'all are.
Thank you, Sheriff.
So,
Okay.
So would you like to rescind your motion, or do you want to stay with it?
Mayor, I'm not sure that his motion actually did anything with the employees.
No.
To suspend the department as operation.
I think that's your decision, Mayor. And I don't want to put that on you, but I think that I'm just to suspend the department as we have it now and hire a chief and let him rebuild, which would be rehire each individual so they would not have a job till the chief rehired them. Because I don't think any chief is going to come in here without that ability to hire their own department. Now, as far as how long to be on administrative leave, with that gracious offer from Sheriff Gentry, I mean, we have the economics work out, the financials, that we can do that for longer now and have other duties for them. You could do whatever you would like with them as far as the other duties. But, you know, I mean, I don't want anybody to lose their job. Nobody asked for this except the people that committed a crime, nor did we. No, ma'am. And that's what I'm up here trying to fight, trying to do, but we're trying to do it as best case possible. I don't want anybody to lose their job. Nor did I want to be up here making this decision if we have a police department off. Because the fact is, oh yes, I've seen you, and I'm hearing you, and I'm trying to do what's best for y'all and for the city as a whole. And I know it doesn't look like that, but it is. In my opinion, I'm only one. I'm only one voice, one vote. So as far as the rest of
He
it,
said where two are gathered, he's in the midst, so we're all here.
Okay, so we've heard the from the sheriff. We've heard
we'll put it off.
his idea. So restate your motion, so we'll have to be clear on it. Okay.
Well, as far as administrative leave, that's up to the mayor.
Okay.
So to suspend the police department as we know it, and to immediately search for a new police chief to rehire from the ground up a new department. Each individual will have to be rehired, and to suspend operations till that is established and has fulfilled his obligation to the council feels has fulfilled his obligation to us.
Okay. All right.
To restart the department.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Let me get this clear. We'll continue to suspend those that were not indicted. Is that what you're saying, Kenneth? They will.
He's saying that we
Saying
should
to suspend the department as we know it.
Okay.
Now, as far as administrative leave for the ones that's on administrative now, that's up to Jimmy.
We'll have to make that decision.
Attorney, he would make that decision.
But the sheriff has said that he will work with us for at least 30 days.
And to completely suspend the department and to immediately, you can have, and I would add to that motion, your committee, be it a committee of the citizen and other professional police, be it a committee of 5, is that good? Is that good with 5? Okay. A committee of 5 to start looking at and to rehire a new police chief. And at that time, he or she can reevaluate every individual and go from there as far as reestablishing the department.
Okay, do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, will you let me know by saying aye? Any opposed? There is none. The ayes have it. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'm filing for unemployment.
So moved.
Have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Any opposed? There is none. We are adjourned.